Welcome everyone to the ASPA podcast. Today we are live from our School HR Winter Bootcamp here in Clearwater, Florida. And today Zach Arend is joining us. He was our keynote speaker and he's a leadership coach. Hi Zach, and thank you for joining us.
Thanks for having me.
And so to start, can you give us a little recap of your session today?
Yeah. Well, the session was called Unbridled. Leadership Starts With You. And it's really about the difference between leading from the grandstands and leading from the arena. And we went deep into the arena leadership. As one of the things we really talked about is how so many leaders get caught in what I call the bridled leader trap. And we kind of hold ourselves back and we get in our own way and we don't really trust ourselves and act on the ideas that we have in our organizations as leaders. And then we talked about, some practices to unbridle ourselves from that so we can have more influence and make a bigger impact and create better results for our schools.
Can we go a little deeper into the bridled leader trap?
Yeah. So the bridle, right? For those that aren't familiar, it's that thing that goes over a horse's face, the metal bit, and it's what the rider uses to control the horse. And we become bridled as leaders. We say we want growth. We want to see others step up. We want to see people take more ownership. But underneath it all, we're gripping the reins. We're not letting the horse run. We're holding things back.
Yeah.
When we do that, we fall into these predictable patterns, and there's 4 of them, and that's what we cover. There's servant mode. So we fall into these 4 modes of a bridle leading trap. Servant mode, where we kind of show up, hey, I'm here to help. What do you need from me? I'm here to take care of people. Because in the moment things aren't going the way we want them to go, the way we plan them to go, we now move into controller mode. I got it. Let me handle it. I'll do it. I'll take care of it. Before you know it, you're doing a lot of things. And now resentment starts to creep in and we move into victim mode.
Sure.
Guys, it's always happening to me. Like, I'm always me. I'm burnt out. I'm tired. But we can't function in victim mode for very long. So we then move into rationalizer mode where it's, it is what it is. I did my best. I'm doing my best. They're doing their best. Everybody's doing their best. We rationalize. And it's how we kind of cope through things we're trying to avoid to change. And that moves us back into servant mode. And we just kind of stay in this cycle. And I joked in there, I remember going through all 4 of those before I had my first cup of coffee in the morning. Like, it's just, and we live in that cycle. And that it feels like leadership. I mean, it feels like you're taking responsibility, but it's not leadership because leadership can't come from you trying to control things. It has to come from leading yourself when things are uncertain. And that's what we explore is, one, there's a lot of uncertainty in the world right now and in our jobs, in our professions, and how do we show up to meet it is more important than trying to control the uncontrollable. Yeah.
And you also talked about tolerating as a leader. Like, what are you tolerating right now, and why is this like a good exercise to say it out loud and to really think about it?
Yeah, well, a couple of years ago I did a TED talk called Saddle Your Own Horse. And it's just all about the opportunity for organizations to create more personal responsibility ownership. And so that's what I am about. I want to see people step up and really take ownership. One of the most powerful questions a person can ask themselves is, what am I tolerating? Because that's the number one thing that you get to own. Because in leadership, I don't know if this is true exactly, but I like it. It's nobody's coming. Like, you're the leader. And so if something's not working for you, you can tolerate it. And before you know it, you carry all that on your back. And that's what keeps us stuck in the leadership. But if we can actually ask the question, what am I tolerating? And start to look at things in our environment that maybe aren't working so well for us in the conditions and what we're trying to create for our organization. But then the following question of what am I tolerating? Because you ask that, you're going to see things. That person or that process or that policy. It's annoying and whatever. But the following question to that is, what part of what you're tolerating can you own? How might you be contributing to the thing you say you don't want? And the moment you ask yourself that question, not from a place of blame, it's not to beat yourself up, but just more from curiosity, now you're getting yourself in a position to do something about it. That's what I call saddle your own horse. You're now, you have something you get to own. No more avoiding it. And that's where change happens. That's where all the positive change comes from in an organization, from a leader who's willing to saddle their and look at what they're tolerating and then think about ways and changing it for the better, for the greater good of everyone.
But how do you think someone can go to tolerating something to own it? I mean, what's the crucial step in between?
Yeah, it's not 100% ownership. It's really not useful to look at, well, whose fault is it? It's more of a, what part can I own? How might I be contributing to it? Those are softer words. It's just finding the small percentage of whatever's occurring that you can own. At the end of the day, I'm allowing it, or I'm choosing to put myself in this situation with this person on a day-to-day basis. I don't have boundary, or, there's all kinds of parts that we can own. And I always tell people, this isn't a judgmental question. It's not let's blame, beat yourself over the head with that. It's just more of a get in contact with what is in your control. Because once you can get back in touch with that, now you're ready to enroll others in the solution, because we don't do that usually. Usually we show up. I don't know if we always do, but what can happen is without that ownership, we start to tell people how they need to change. You need to do this differently, or I don't like this, and then people get defensive, and now we've got this sparring match. But when we show up with ownership, like, hey, I'm going to acknowledge that I'm playing a role in this situation that's not working. And now it just gives the other person that opportunity to be like, what? Maybe I am too. And now we share a conversation.
Yeah.
So it's about going first. Yeah.
And then you also shared something about a different concept, that it's raise high and lift.
Yeah.
So how does this apply to leadership?
Yeah. Well, raise high and lift is something my coach would tell me in bike riding. So I rode saddle bone.
Yes.
And this is a 2,000-pound wild animal, and you're sitting in a saddle holding on to nothing but a polyester rein, and then your free hands in the air. Well, when you're on a horse like that, everything in you wants to contract and be small and survive. Just curl up in a ball is kind of what your instinct is. And my coach always taught me raise high and lift, which is, he was telling me do the opposite of what fear is telling you to do. And that's leadership, because in leadership, there's fear, there's anxiety, there's stress, there's worrying that what if I make a mistake and all of that. But if we act from that place, we tend to constrict and tie ourselves up, and we're much smaller than we actually are. Therefore, we can't have the level of impact and influence we want to have as leaders. We've got to learn to do the opposite, to raise high and lift, which is it's a posture where instead of pulling on the rein and being small, you throw your hand out and lift on the rein. You open up your feet. You reach for the front end of the horse. It's all about being vulnerable and exposed. But honestly, that's the only way you stand wrong. It's kind of an interesting concept. So physiologically, as a leader, we've got to learn to do the opposite of what fear is telling us to do. And what that really means is learning to let go of control and learning to ask more of people and ourselves. But instead of trying to protect people and rescue people, but see people as powerful. And we talked about that concept of empowering, where we took the word empower and we replaced it with the word in power, where our job as leaders is to keep people in a position of power. And that's raise high and lift, is allow people to be who they are, you be who you are, and learn to dance with one another instead of controlling things.
Yeah, that's great. So, and to wrap up the conversation, today you spent some time with the school personnel leaders. What stood out to you in the energy in the room or the challenges you see them facing today?
Yeah, well, HR professionals in the schools especially, they're in this situation where their organizations, schools, they're expecting leadership from HR. They're expecting them to have the difficult conversations and manage the people well. And there's all the minutia and day-to-day paperwork and compliance, and it's like this battle of the two skill sets, and that's the rub. And that's why it's so important to maintain perspective of why am I here and what's the difference I want to make. That's that eyes on the brown principle we talked about, is making sure I'm coming from that place of who I want to be first and foremost, and not losing that, because it's easy to, underneath all the to-dos that HR professionals are asked to carry for organizations. But at the end of the day, I really believe in people and leaders. And when we let them feel the weight of responsibility and let them be powerful and let them take ownership, that's where leadership starts. And we got to learn to start teaching leaders to stop looking for somebody to come in to save us and rescue us and fix things. Like nobody's coming, it's you.
Yeah.
And that's a very cool place to come to, because now you get to act and make the changes you want to make in your organization. So,
okay. Yeah, that's great. So thank you so much for joining us. This was great. And we hope people can have the chance to see you maybe in another talk over there.
I would love that.
Yeah, for sure.
I've been speaking at a lot of events. I also work with organizations and do full workshops with leaders. I call it the Unbridled experience, where we go deep, and I do more facilitating and coaching the leadership team to start to take some ownership of results in the business or results in the organization, so that together we can start to affect change.
Yeah, and you got a great response in the audience, so I'm sure they had fun.
It was fun. Yeah.
Okay, thank you so much.